Okay. Can you tell us your name, major, and year at the University of Washington?
My name is Jose Linares. I am a nursing major, and this is my second year here at the University of Washington.
Nice, nice. What career or industry are you hoping to work in after graduation? I think you already said a little.
Yeah, nursing.
Yeah, okay, yeah. What has been your most memorable experience working in a labor-intensive or hands-on job?
My most memorable experience is, besides like healthcare, is I worked a lot of years in agriculture, and it's being able to just grow connections between the people that I'm working with, just because a lot of people are there because it's like a last option, and it's kind of all we know when a lot of people come from like immigrated countries. It's kind of all just like physical labor jobs, and
Nice.
then it's kind of just like that's where I come from, that's where my family comes from, and they just feel like family getting to work with them.
That's great. That's great to hear. Well, regarding that, have you faced any challenges while working in the agriculture industry? And if so, what were they?
Was that part?
If so, what were they?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I faced was pesticide safety. I know there's like rules to not spray pesticides on like the plants too close to people, but even then they were, I would say, maybe like I want to say 50 feet away, and they wouldn't take into consideration if there's like wind or something, and it would just like all be like spraying on your skin. So all the time when you're working in that kind of field, you always have to have something covering your face, your arms, your legs. Try to cover all the skin, just because it gets like really irritating after working there for a couple years.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So, what aspects of your work experience have been the most positive, do you think?
I think the aspects, for me, just being able to understand kind of the value of other laborers jobs besides agriculture.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of hard physical work and time that people put in, and it's not the best paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Okay, okay.
I just have like two or three more questions for you. So, one of them is, are there barriers, physical, cultural, or organizational that have made you working more difficult for you or your peers that you know?
Um, Sorry, say it one more time.
Are there any barriers that have made working more difficult for you or your barriers, whether that be cultural or anything that you think of?
Barriers to working in.
Yeah, just in general, just like entering the workforce
Oh, okay.
or just like continuing to work in it, you know?
I think definitely a barrier is educational opportunities. I know there's, like, for example, my mom was in that, was like, also like an agricultural worker, and it took a lot of help from me to help put her into trying to attain a higher education and kind of get out of that field, and do anything else but that kind of work. And if I wasn't there, I don't think anybody else would kind of offer that kind of opportunity to kind of show her that there's other things that she's capable of, and that's kind of it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, last two questions. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but I just want to ask, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing workers today? Like you said, it could be about your mom, about you, about any of your family members or peers that you've seen.
Um, I would say proper a proper amount of healthcare coverage, especially with the not like that
And
like the lower paying jobs. There's not a lot of coverage for those places. It's kind of just for us, at least here in Washington, it's pretty good. There's state covers a lot of it, but there's definitely kind of like shoot like it Um, sorry, I don't know how to answer that question too good.
No, you're good. You're good. And okay, last question. Have you ever thought about the role of labor unions in the workplace? Why or why not?
Have you ever thought about the role of labor unions?
Yeah. Do you know? Yeah, the unions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, do you think that they would work well in a workplace, or like, what are your thoughts on them? You know.
I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It kind of, everybody's there for the same reason. They're trying to work, trying to get paid, trying to stay safe. Specifically with healthcare, I know there's top of my head. One thing I can think of is violence from patients to healthcare workers, and there is a need for like all hospitals to have unions to kind of like protect the nurses from these situations by advocating for policies that kind of prevents it from even being a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Giving nurses and other healthcare workers a voice to say, oh, we need this specific intervention to prevent workplace violence.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jose. That was the end of our questions.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Can you tell us your name, major, and year at the University of Washington?
My name is Carson. I'm an engineering major, and it's my first year at the University of Washington.
Great. What career or industry are you hoping to work in after graduation?
So anywhere in engineering, but specifically, my goal is to go into the automotive industry.
Nice, nice. Have you had any internships, part-time jobs, or work-study roles related to your field of study?
Yeah, I had a 2-year internship at an electrical engineering company or aerospace. Yeah, electrical.
Okay, great. What has been your most memorable experience working in labor-intensive or hands-on job, like you just said?
Yeah. Most memorable is like getting to know the coworkers, especially because like I worked with like 8 different guys, and they all come from such different backgrounds. Like getting to know each one, especially because I was the youngest at the time, was like crazy. Because it's like kind of like looking into your future, but at the same time you're getting advice from like people in your like position, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it's
no.
pretty cool.
I've had that experience too before, and
Yeah.
it is really interesting. Great to hear. Have you faced any challenges while working in the labor industry? If so, what were they?
Yeah, so I worked in like the testing department, and I totally messed up a test on like 30 units. So I went home from work that day thinking that I did the test right, and I came back to work and I realized that I like totally messed it up. So I set the company back like a whole day. So that took like a whole week to figure out stuff, and I just, I had to like deal with my consequences of my actions and stuff,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Going back to what you were saying earlier about your internship, you were talking about how you had a lot of older people that were there to be able to guide you.
Yeah.
And relating to that, I just want to ask, like, have you ever had like a certain person who was like your mentor, manager, or coworker who like really supported your growth like the
Yeah.
most?
Yeah, so for my first summer, this guy named Jason, he's a Marine, so he only had a year left with the company, but he was my mentor. Like I got into work every day, and he would like teach me everything. He was like the guy I'd look up to, the guy that like was there by my side whenever I had questions or anything. So, he was like the number one mentor. He was only like 6-7 years older than me too, so it was nice to like relate to someone kind of a little younger.
Okay, great.
You know.
Just like 5 more questions. It should be pretty quick. What changes would you like to see, or no, actually, yeah. What changes would you like to see in the workplaces you've been a part of?
Some changes, I'd say, at least for the workplace that I've been a part of. I think that bro, that's a tough question because I don't know. I thought it was really good. The only change I'd make is like for the first few weeks, I needed like more than a mentor. I needed like a training program. We didn't really have that. Like I was kind of expected to do more than what I knew how to do for the first few weeks. So like onboarding, training, mentor-mentee type situation, especially for my work situation. But other than that, it was good.
No, that totally makes sense, and I feel like that is definitely important.
Yeah.
Going back to your the question about the internships, do you feel that companies value the voices of young workers or interns? Why or why not?
feel like the smaller companies do for sure, because at least the company I worked for was around like 200 employees. So I feel like my voice was heard when I had something to say, especially like with that small atmosphere. When it comes to bigger companies, although I don't have that experience, I feel like your voice is just less heard because you're just like a smaller fish in the sea, you know? So especially being younger, like you kind of look down upon, especially in a big company. So I think, yeah, it comes down to like how big the company is.
No, that totally makes sense. That was a great answer. Let me see. Have you ever thought about the role of labor unions in the workplace? Why or why not?
Um, I haven't because I didn't have a full time job, so like the pay grade didn't affect me or anything, or like workers' rights, especially because I was only working like 30 hours a week.
Uh,
So I guess no, I haven't really thought about it.
okay, but do you still think that unions are still important today?
Um, yeah, because I mean, the only limited knowledge I have about unions is like U.S. history, I guess. So, um, but I think it's important that like they stand for workers' rights and stuff. So like, what they stand for is really important. Having them around is also really important.
Great. Last two questions. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing workers today?
Biggest challenges, I'd say, mental health is a big one. Balancing that like home work life, especially like just coming out of the pandemic and stuff. Like a lot of people, they seem to like work better at home and like figure out that schedule of like home to in-person work. Um, yeah, that and mental health. I mean, especially recently, I guess like mental health epidemic and everything with like, I guess this has been like a lot of people's concerns recently. So yeah.
No, that's great. Okay. Last question. Do you think young people, like students, should care about labor rights and why?
Oh, for sure. I think younger people should care more about labor rights, especially because we're like the next workforce. So, like these younger people need to be like educated on the fact. Like I know I am. I'm not, but like before I go into the workforce, I should have like a good amount of like background knowledge of labor rights and stuff. Especially because like we're the next generation, you know. So like we should have this knowledge before we go in the workforce and like, you know,
Yeah.
just be prepared.
Yeah, be educated. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carson. That's all the
you.
questions we have for you.
Sweet.
Great.
All right, Ben. All right, what's good? Can you tell us your name, your major, and your year at the UW?
My name is Vito Morani. I am a junior here at the University of Washington, and I'm studying real estate and business.
All right, nice. And I'm Zane Thompson. So basically, just wanted to ask you, like, what career industry are you hoping to work in after graduation?
Right now, I'm, figuring out my path for after graduation. I'm looking into becoming a broker, a real estate broker for
Okay.
either on the commercial or residential side. And then I'm also, exploring different options of just a sales path. So I'm just researching and networking with different companies to see where that takes me. But yeah.
Yeah, that's sick. So have you had any internships, like part-time jobs or work study roles related to that?
Yeah. So this past summer I sold cars for my dad, and that was a really good just first sales experience. I was able to really see what it's like to work a full-time job like that, and I found a lot of fulfillment in working that job and providing service to a lot of different people.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So I guess like building off that, what's been like the most memorable experience you had like working that job, or even outside of that job, like any other jobs?
I would say for me, it's just about building like connections and just creating positive relationships with other people. So this year, I'm serving as the peer mentor lead and the freshman teaching assistant, and that even translates over to me being a car salesman with meeting people and connecting with people. And for me, it's just making those personal relationships and making people feel heard and seen and comfortable, and providing a service to them wherever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
great. And I guess looking at the flip side of it, have you faced any like challenges while you've been working in the labor industry?
I would say for selling cars, it's a very big time commitment. It's commission based, so it can be very stressful, especially if the market's down or you're having a down month, it can be very stressful. So I can kind of see that, engage that with my coworkers. A lot of, the guys, I'm very lucky just to be a young college student. I'm not relying on that income to, I don't have a family to provide for yet. So definitely, yeah, I can provide a lot of stress. But yeah.
My cousin does that too.
Really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
he sells cars.
Wow.
Enterprise. Or he does the renting it.
Really?
Oh, that's sick. So have you ever felt like unsupported in the workplace at all?
Particularly, I have not yet to feel unsupported. I feel like me personally, I'm big on like self-advocating. So if there are situations where I don't feel supported or I don't feel like I'm being treated right, I always would want to step up and use my voice.
All right, that's sick, honestly. I guess like building off that, have there been like any like company values or benefits that you've encountered that kind of like stood out and aligned with that?
I would say my working experience just with the Brotherhood Initiative. For me personally, I just align with the values of, just surrounding yourself with people who are not only uplifting you, but also just a great support system with that. And I've been able to learn alongside Ling, C-Mac, Candy, Paul, and Dr. Lott, and just learn from them and try to follow in their footsteps. But just seeing how much like that community aspect is and how much we're trying to uplift others has been really fulfilling, and I've learned a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. And would you say like that's a change that you'd like to see like be implemented in more workplace, like that the aspect of community? Like, should be,
Yeah,
like, more involved?
I think the aspect of community is a really big thing that I would like to see. Just honestly, even just here on campus, I feel like ever since COVID, and also like paired with like people say the Seattle freeze, I feel like it's a lot harder for people to open up and find that sense of belonging, find that community. So I feel like I really would love to see that shift, like what we have cultivated in the BI, reach other places, especially in the workplace.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. All right, so like shifting more to like union related questions, have you ever thought about like the role of labor unions in the workplace?
I have not had a lot of time to think about that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I guess I was like wondering like what's your like perspective on how like important it is, and just like what like benefits that it could have, and like I guess since you said that you haven't really thought about it that much, like is there any reason why you think you haven't?
And what was the question again?
Or just like have you ever like thought about the role that labor unions play in the workplace?
I think it's really beneficial for people to have a union, a labor union. I think people should not only have their voices heard, but they should have their needs met. Mm-hmm. And I think, labor unions, I don't know too much about it, but I think that they're beneficial, especially for bigger corporations where people are putting a lot of their time and effort. I think they should be able to be backed up and supported.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, like, do you or anyone you know, like, have they ever been involved in unions at all? Or
a lot of my customers I sold cars to were in labor based jobs.
Yeah,
and they kind of just told me from their experience a lot of the times kind of the things that are going on in their workplace, that sometimes they felt like they weren't supported, but they're able to kind of lean into that union and come together with their fellow coworkers to kind of fix some problems. So I think it is good that those people can have a voice.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually I was wondering, what do you think like some of the biggest challenges that workers are facing like right now?
The biggest challenges workers are just for labor,
or even in general, honestly.
Just in general. Wow, that's a really broad question. What people are facing right now, I think, is stability. I feel like a lot is going around. There's a lot of changes going around in our country, and I think just the stability, especially like in a place here in Seattle. It's a very expensive place to live. So I think if we're able to, figure out that stability and make sure everyone is accounted for, would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. Like, we definitely need to have like a more grounded like sense of where we're going and where we can also stay like, after college and whatnot. So I guess like for my final question, then, do you think like students like here at UW should be having like more of a focus and more of like a conscious thought of like what labor unions do and how important they are?
I honestly do. Like, just from this conversation I'm having with you, it's really like allowing me to take a step back and reflect, and also like see like how much and like how many people are affected by this. So I do think there should be more awareness, and it should be integrated, you know, just so people are at least, you know, aware of like what's going on.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you for your time, bro.
No, yeah, thank you, Zane. I'll see you.